Do this instead of announcing sudden changes. Have you ever been in a room where someone announced a major change out of nowhere, a new policy, a surprise decision, or a shift in direction, and everyone went silent not because they agreed, but because they were stunned, confused, maybe even scared? Sudden changes without context destroy trust. Real leadership isn't about surprising people with change. It's about preparing them, including them, and leading them through it. Start with the why before the what. Before introducing a change, explain the reason behind it. People are more open to change when they understand its purpose and necessity. Involve your team early instead of making top-down decisions. Include others in the discussion early on. When people are part of the process, they feel respected and are more likely to support the outcome. Communicate transparently, and frequently surprise announcements create fear and resistance. Clear, regular communication builds trust and helps people mentally and emotionally prepare for change. Lead with empathy. Not authority. People don't want to feel like pawns in someone else's plan. Acknowledge their fears, show you care about their concerns, and guide them with empathy through transitions. Create small wins first instead of implementing drastic changes all at once. Introduce small, manageable steps. Celebrate early wins to build confidence and momentum. Be present during the transition. Don't disappear after announcing a change. Stay available, answer questions, and walk with your team through the process. Leadership during change requires presence and patience when it comes to introducing change, whether in a company, a team, or even in personal relationships. The most critical thing to communicate is not asterisk what asterisk is changing, but asterisk why asterisk it needs to change. People are naturally resistant to uncertainty. Sudden announcements without context can spark fear, confusion, and mistrust. That's why starting with the why is not just a leadership technique, it's a human necessity. When people understand the purpose behind a decision, they feel respected and included. It gives them a story to connect with, a reason to believe that the change isn't random or reckless. It shows that there's thought, intention, and vision behind the shift. For example, if a company suddenly removes a popular benefit without explanation, employees feel blindsided and undervalued. But if leadership first shares the financial challenges the company is facing and the long-term goal of sustainability, the very same change, though still difficult, can be met with understanding instead of backlash. Sinek famously said, "People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it." That truth applies just as much to change management as it does to marketing or leadership. By starting with the why, you allow people to emotionally and mentally engage with the decision. You build trust before asking for cooperation, and more importantly, you make your team feel like they're not just being told what to do, they're being invited into a shared mission. Leaders who ignore this and jump straight to announcing the what often find themselves facing resistance, low morale, and even turnover. People feel like the ground has been pulled from under them without warning. But when leaders begin with empathy and explain the deeper reasons, even the hardest changes become easier to digest. It's not about sugarcoating bad news. It's about respecting people enough to give them the full picture. So if you want to lead through change effectively, don't drop a decision like a bomb. Share the why first. Let people see what you see. Help them feel what you feel. And in doing so, you won't just create acceptance. You'll create commitment. When change is on the horizon, one of the most powerful things a leader can do is involve the team early in the process. Too often, leaders feel they must have all the answers before bringing others into the conversation. But that's a mistake. Waiting until a decision is final and then announcing it creates distance, distrust, and the impression that people's opinions don't matter. By involving others early, you're not only gaining diverse insights, you're also building ownership, alignment, and emotional investment. When people are part of shaping a change, they're far more likely to support it. Why? Because they had a voice, they contributed ideas, they saw behind the curtain and were trusted to help co-create the outcome. This builds a sense of shared purpose. Instead of feeling like change is being forced upon them, people begin to feel like change is happening with them. This doesn't mean you have to run every idea through a vote. Leadership still requires direction, but it does mean creating space for feedback, listening to concerns, and allowing space for suggestions. Something as simple as saying, "We're considering this direction, but we'd love your input before we move forward," can go a long way. It shifts the tone from authority to collaboration. Moreover, involving your team early also allows you to spot potential issues before they become major problems. The people closest to the day-to-day operations often have valuable insights into what might work or fail in the real world. Their perspective helps you refine the change and make it more practical and sustainable. In times of change, people aren't just looking for answers. They're looking for connection. They want to feel like they matter. They want to be seen, heard, and included. Early involvement gives them that. It turns passive followers into active participants. So, if you're facing a big decision or shift, don't wait until everything is set in stone to bring people in. Invite them into the process early. Ask questions. Encourage ideas, and make sure your team feels like they're not just along for the ride. They're driving part of the journey. That single decision can transform how change is received and how smoothly it's implemented. One of the most overlooked aspects of effective leadership during change is consistent and transparent communication. Many leaders make the mistake of announcing a change once and assuming that's enough. But in reality, change is a journey, not a one-time event. People need repeated communication, clarity, and openness to process what's happening and to feel supported throughout the transition. When leaders fail to communicate consistently, it leaves room for rumors, assumptions, and unnecessary fear to grow. Transparency doesn't mean revealing every detail before it's ready, but it does mean being honest about what is known, what is still being figured out, and what the next steps might be. People appreciate honesty, especially in uncertain times. Even saying, "We don't have all the answers yet, but we'll keep you informed every step of the way," builds more trust than staying silent or offering vague updates. It shows integrity, accountability, and a commitment to keeping everyone in the loop. Frequent communication also helps to manage expectations and reduce anxiety. When people are informed regularly, they're less likely to panic or resist because they feel grounded. They know someone is steering the ship and they're not being left in the dark. Even if the change is difficult, consistent updates make it more manageable. Communication becomes a source of stability in what might otherwise feel like chaos. It's also important to make your communication two-way. Don't just speak, listen. Create channels where people can ask questions, share concerns, and provide feedback. When people feel heard, they feel valued. It gives them a sense of control and dignity during times of uncertainty. Moreover, communication during change shouldn't just be formal announcements or emails. It can be one-on-one conversations, team meetings, Q/and sessions, or even casual check-ins. The method matters less than the intent. Are you genuinely trying to keep people informed, connected, and included? Sudden change without communication creates confusion, but steady, honest communication builds resilience and unity. So, instead of announcing change once and stepping back, commit to ongoing dialogue. Let people know what's happening, what it means, and how it affects them. Be the voice that cuts through the noise and brings clarity in the storm. That's how leaders earn trust and keep it. In times of change, people are not just looking for direction, they're looking for care. Leading with empathy instead of authority means putting yourself in others' shoes, understanding their emotions, and guiding them through change with compassion rather than control. Too many leaders focus on enforcing decisions, expecting blind compliance, and moving fast. But when change feels forced, people shut down emotionally. They don't feel supported. They feel pressured. That's not leadership, that's command. Empathy is the secret ingredient that turns resistance into resilience. When you acknowledge how difficult or uncomfortable change might be, you humanize the experience. You show your team that it's okay to feel uncertain or afraid. You build emotional safety, which is far more powerful than authority alone. People don't want to follow someone just because they have a title. They want to follow someone who understands them, who sees them, and who genuinely cares about their well-being. Leaders who lead with empathy ask questions like, "How does this change impact you?" Or "What concerns do you have?" These simple questions invite honest dialogue. They open the door for trust to grow. Instead of enforcing change as a rigid mandate, you start walking beside your team through it. That shared journey builds loyalty and deeper connection. It's also important to remember that people handle change differently. Some adapt quickly, others need time. An empathetic leader recognizes this and avoids one-size-fits-all solutions. They check in with individuals. They provide support where needed. They know that change isn't just operational, it's emotional, and emotions are real data points that need to be considered in any strategy. Empathy doesn't make you soft, it makes you strong. Because when people feel emotionally supported, they are more engaged, more adaptable, and more willing to give their best effort. They trust the process because they trust you, and that trust is the foundation for lasting, successful transformation. So when leading change, don't just issue commands, show understanding, listen with intention, speak from the heart, be the kind of leader who guides, not just governs. Because in the end, people may forget what the change was, but they will never forget how you made them feel while it was happening, and that is the mark of a true leader. Introducing change can often feel overwhelming, especially when it's presented all at once. That's why creating small wins before implementing the full change is a smart and strategic approach. Instead of expecting people to jump into something unfamiliar and complex, give them a chance to succeed early in the journey. These small victories build momentum, boost confidence, and reduce fear. When people experience early success, it proves to them that the change is not only possible, but beneficial. It shifts their mindset from doubt to belief. For example, if a company is transitioning to a new workflow system, instead of launching the entire platform overnight, they might first introduce one helpful feature that improves daily efficiency. When the team sees how it makes their work easier, they become more open to exploring the rest of the system. They've seen value, they've felt a win, and that emotional buy-in is powerful. Small wins also allow leaders to test and adjust along the way. Instead of risking a massive change falling apart, you get to gather real feedback from real experience. What's working, what's not, what needs to be communicated better. This reduces the risk of failure and increases the chance of a smooth transition. Psychologically, small wins satisfy a basic human need, progress. People want to feel like they're moving forward, even if it's one step at a time. Celebrating those early steps, no matter how small, creates a sense of accomplishment. It fuels motivation. It gives people a reason to keep going, even when the overall change feels big or uncertain. As a leader, your role is to make the path manageable. By breaking the change into phases and celebrating each milestone, you help your team build resilience. You turn what could feel like a mountain into a series of walkable hills. Every success, no matter how small, becomes a confidence boost that moves the entire group closer to the final goal. So don't underestimate the power of progress. Use small wins to anchor the change. Let people taste success early. Show them that the process works. And as those wins accumulate, so will belief, trust, and full adoption of the change. This isn't just a tactic, it's a leadership mindset. One that turns resistance into readiness. One of the most important yet underestimated responsibilities of a leader during change is simply being present. Announcing a shift and then disappearing from the process leaves people feeling abandoned, confused, and unsupported. Change is not just a plan on paper, it's an emotional and practical journey that your team must navigate day by day, and your continued presence is what reassures them that they're not facing it alone. When leaders stay actively involved during the transition, it sends a powerful message: I'm with you in this. That message builds trust, loyalty, and confidence. People are far more willing to embrace change when they see their leader not just talking about it, but living it, answering questions, showing up in meetings, and making themselves available to address concerns. Being present doesn't mean micromanaging every detail. It means showing up consistently, listening openly, and providing guidance when needed. It's about keeping your finger on the pulse of your team, observing how they're adjusting, understanding where they're struggling, and celebrating where they're succeeding. When people see you engaged, they feel valued. When they don't, they feel like the change is being done to them, instead of asterisk with asterisk them. Change is often filled with uncertainty, and uncertainty creates fear. Your physical and emotional presence as a leader helps stabilize that fear. Whether through town hall meetings, one-on-one conversations, casual walk-arounds, or even weekly updates, your visibility matters. It gives people the space to ask questions and the confidence that someone is steering the ship. Moreover, being present allows you to adjust in real time. You can hear feedback directly. You can see morale dip or rise. You can clarify misunderstandings before they spread. These real-time insights are invaluable and allow you to lead more responsively and effectively. The truth is, leadership during calm times is easy, but leadership during change, when people are nervous, uncertain, or skeptical, is when your character and commitment are truly tested. Presence is leadership in action. It's not glamorous, but it's transformational. So if you've initiated a change, don't retreat into strategy mode. Stay connected, be visible, show up when it's hard, and in doing so, you'll do more than manage change. You'll inspire your people through it. Because great leaders don't lead from a distance. They lead from among.